There it is, Sports Center. Look.
Me and Daniel have probably the most heated rivalry in UFC history.
Definitely not proud of what happened today. I've actually never had a fighter put his hands on me.
This all started back in 2010 at UFC 121 when Brock Lesnar was ruling the heavyweight division. He was fighting Cain Velasquez, the smaller but more technical fighter. Daniel Cormier wasn't even in UFC back then and was there in support of his long-term training partner Cain. That night, Cain mauled Brock, and it was backstage where Daniel Cormier and Jon Jones first met.
First time him and I ever interacted, he looked down on me and started to make derogatory comments.
One of my guys said, hey, there's Cain Velasquez's wrestling coach. So, hey man, hey, I hear you're a wrestling coach and I bet you I can take you down. He got pretty defensive and I walked away feeling pretty awkward. Ever since then, he's had this personal vendetta against me.
Daniel Cormier is also known as DC, and he began his career in MMA at the age of 30 in Strikeforce. And this was after a successful stint as an All-American Olympic wrestler. He perceived the youngest fighter's remarks as a sign of disrespect. During the next year, Jon Jones was plowing through his opponents and had risen to become the UFC light heavyweight champion. In 2013, despite his age, DC's exceptional fighting skills caught the attention of Dana White, leading him to be signed to the UFC. During his debut, Jon Jones tweeted a disrespectful remark towards DC, but he retaliated at a press conference.
John, he can walk off the street, whatever he weighs now, and we can get in the octagon. Let's fight it anyway, John, you and I.
Despite being in different weight classes, the UFC recognized the potential for a heated rivalry between DC and Jon. This would soon come to pass, as just 1 year later, Alexander Gustafsson was forced to withdraw from his bout against Jon. This was due to an injury. Seizing the opportunity, DC took to Twitter to announce that he would be stepping in to face Jon instead. Tensions between the two fighters reached a boiling point, and during their promotional face-off, things quickly turned physical.
I'm not afraid of Jon Jones in any way, shape, or form, so he's not going to come in there and try and bully me. It's not going to happen. He's a little punk, and somebody needs to put him in his place, and I'm going to be the person to do it.
As they touched heads, DC pushed Jon by the neck, causing him to lash out in return. The chaos unfolded in the lobby of MGM Casino, with hundreds of fans in attendance to witness the explosive showdown.
That goes to show your level of education that you count that as a fight. He didn't have to touch me. I wasn't there to be touched. I was there to do it. It was for a photo opportunity, and Jon just actually took it too far. I actually admire that you can actually be this fake. You're the scum of the earth. You are a terrible human being, but you can sure turn it on, huh?
Thank you.
Wish they would let me next door so I can spit in your face.
The highly anticipated fight between DC and Jon Jones was delayed after Jon suffered an injury during training. In the lead up to the fight, both men found themselves in hot water with the Athletic Commission following the media day brawl.
I just really want to sincerely apologize.
So I'd like to apologize to the commission.
My bosses at the UFC, Dana and Lorenzo.
I am sorry for my part in the action.
Meanwhile, Jon's positive test for cocaine only added to the drama and controversy surrounding the event.
Jon Jones was tested out of competition. When he was tested, he tested positive for cocaine.
Despite the setbacks, the fight eventually went ahead.
I'm glad you were talking. Yeah, you'll be talking Saturday then.
I swear to God, I had to fight my hands not to just grab him by the neck and choke his ass again. God, I hate that kid.
Hey, when I'm beating your ass Saturday, I suck, right?
I'm gonna push that man to a place that he's never been in his entire life, and I will make Jon Jones quit. Sunday morning, Joe Rogan, you will wake up and you will say, how Daniel make this look so easy?
Hey Joe, listen, the guy has a job commentating for a reason.
During the fight, Jon was using his reach advantage and superior striking skills to control the pace. Although DC landed some shots, he was fighting out of character, not using his wrestling.
Hey! Where's your takedown? Come on, make him think about it!
Ultimately, Jon Jones won via unanimous decision, handing DC his first ever loss in MMA.
That's the hardest fight Jon Jones has ever had.
You see, normally bad blood fights, that usually ends when the fight's over and there's some mutual respect. This one didn't seem to end that way.
Only a few months later, Jon was involved in a serious hit-and-run incident. Instead of facing the consequences of his actions, Jon fled the scene, leaving an injured woman behind. And to make matters worse, when the police investigated the incident, they discovered she was pregnant and found some Mary J inside of the car.
911, operator 3830, where is your emergency?
Yeah, there was a car accident right here on Wansboro and Southern Boulevard. The guy that's getting out of the SUV, he took off running. He's running over fences.
Jon Jones? Dude, I wonder if this is that fighter's car.
It wasn't that long ago. We saw him, you know, he was in trouble, he was in hot water with the whole cocaine thing, and here we are again, just a few months later. I want to see Jon learn from this. He's not a bad person, you know. He's made some mistakes. Learn from these mistakes.
If you're in a car accident, you stay there. You see, you know, if anyone's injured, you stay there. You don't just flee for any reason. So to me, that's a little fishy. To me, it indicates maybe there's something else going on.
I am here to accept full responsibility for what happened, for my actions.
Jon's actions have consequences, and as the result of his behavior, he was stripped of his belt and suspended from the UFC. In light of this, the opportunity arose for DC to take on Anthony Johnson for the vacated belt. DC rose to the occasion and emerged victorious, securing the belt. Jon Jones had returned from suspension, and there was talks of a possible rematch between him and DC. Two fierce rivals which finally set to take place at UFC 197. The press conference leading up to the event was filled with tension, and it was clear the two fighters still sheltered a deep hatred for one another.
Are you the biggest? Am I the biggest you have ever met? You want me to suck your like you told me?
No, you are the biggest I've ever seen.
How disrespectful to come out here with that belt. It shows that he thinks there are no repercussions for his actions.
Could someone bring Daniel some Kleenex, please?
Thank you. Hey, I'm not crying. I'm just sober.
However, during fight week, a cloud of controversy loomed as Jon Jones tested positive for steroids.
I feel like I have to reclimb a ladder.
Well, a guy that will do cocaine a month before the biggest fight of his career at the time. Nuts. So if you're gonna do things to sabotage yourself, why wouldn't he do things to enhance himself?
Who's the bad guy, Dan?
Jon Jones.
Who's the bad guy, Mama?
Jon Jones.
And yet again, Jon Jones was suspended for another year. As the promotion for their rematch ramped up, so did their beef. In the next meeting, adding fuel to the fire, DC was particularly angry about Jon Jones' comments about his children.
Don't mention my kids. Hey, I don't know who you think you're playing with. Mention my children again.
Hey, I'm going to. Mention my children again. I'm going to. Just a second ago, we almost went at it back behind the curtain, so.
You know what happened behind the stage? He's a bitch. And he said something about my kids, so I smacked him in the face with a water bottle.
Oh, yeah, you yeah, you threw a word. Yeah.
You know what you are. Hey, he just said he's back, right? But is he back?
To be the.
Are you back, junkie?
I'm back. Make Christmas cards now because the belt's gonna be gone, Daniel. It's gonna be.
You're gonna have to show me.
I already did.
You're gonna have to show me.
I already did.
What's that?
You look like a crackhead with a suit on.
I could look like a crackhead with a suit on, but I've never been a crackhead like you, though.
I love it.
The videos of you crying and all that.
Oh yeah, I was crying. Oh, I saw you crying too when you got tested positive for steroids.
Oh yeah, but
you were crying when you got popped for steroids.
You
cried too when you got popped for steroids, young man.
I'm gonna be in your face pressing you, trying to rip your head off every second of that fight. But I'm telling you right now, this is my life and I'm willing to die to beat you. Because as I've said many times, you don't deserve this.
In their rematch, Jon Jones used his technique to control the action until DC came back swinging. It was clear that Jon was the superior striker, and he set up a picture-perfect head kick in the third round, sending DC crumbling to the canvas. Jon then proceeded to finish DC brutally.
What can you say at all about this and the rivalry between you and Jon?
If you win both fights, there is no rivalry, so
It appeared the men had settled their differences. Just 2 weeks after his victory over DC, Jon Jones was again flagged for a potential doping violation from a sample taken in the lead up to the fight. The sample was found to be positive for anabolic steroids, casting a shadow over his recent victory. The incident was a major blow to Jones's reputation and legacy, tarnishing what had previously been a spectacular career in the UFC. Once again, Jon Jones was suspended, and the belt was returned to DC after the bout was changed to a no contest. Once Jon returned to reclaim the vacant light heavyweight belt, DC had become the heavyweight champion and didn't really have any interest in fighting Jon again. In 2023, Jon Jones made a return to the heavyweight division and offered DC the opportunity to provide commentary for his fight. With a victorious comeback, Jon is now rebuilding the legacy that he had once previously stained. Thus, it appears the long-standing animosity and feud has been resolved. Regardless, it is a true rivalry between Jon Jones and Daniel Cormier, and was one of the most intense and long-standing beefs in UFC history, spanning over a decade and featuring high-profile fights and controversies.